Ladies and gentlemen, what would happen if there were two of Kyle Murtagh? I'm not going to do Kyle today. I'm not going to imitate Kyle. I swear to God, I'm not going to do that. But I am joined once again for round two of Kyle Murtagh on the Friel thing. Kyle, what can I say?
I don't know what you can say, but you made me really conscious of my hand gestures, Greg.
I think you should be. Because you tend to design boxes over here and over here.
What can I say? I'm a great supply man.
Exactly. Kyle, pleasure to see you once again. We're going to just do some ridiculous plugs halfway through.
Yeah, just
randomly for the 5 pillars of effective public speaking. Your Unrivaled Guide to Presentation Excellence and Public Speaking Confidence by Kyle Murtagh. We recorded the audiobook for that last summer, which was a hoot and a half, it has to be said.
Yes.
Tell me about your post-studio experience. What's been happening with, obviously, throughout lockdown, we've had that connection, but, and you're somebody who's just embraced the whole online speaking thing right from the get-go, right from like March last year. You were on there and you were like, "Hi, I'm Kyle and I'm taking over the world," straight away. So basically, and then the thing is, we'd planned on doing the audiobook before all this happened, so we managed to kind of squeeze it in between lockdowns. But yet, so tell the viewers at home, as it were, a little bit about your lockdown experience.
Sure. So we went into lockdown, March 24th, something like this. I did my first webinar on April 1st. It was actually the anniversary not too long ago.
And
so
people
I was
took this seriously.
Yeah. I just thought, you know what, this is the way things are going to be. Let's just get on with it. I had no idea what I was doing on Zoom, but I just went for it, and that's what you've got to do ultimately. And the first webinar was actually all right. And I've just sort of kept that momentum going from April 1st on, trying new things, just changing my business completely from public speaking to, speaking to camera. That has been a huge shift overall.
I think this is the thing where, you're a really great example of this, is somebody who, you have an existing business, and rather than go, I can't do this at all anymore. It's like, well, I could actually do this if I just pivot and just do it slightly differently.
The P word.
And there's no reason why you can't do what it is that you're doing, but just in a different way. And I think that's just been amazing the way that you've done that. I mean, I remember seeing the first kind of webinars that you were doing. I was like, oh right, okay, he's really going for this straight away. Well, everybody else was still trying to work out what the hell Zoom was.
Yeah. I mean, well, ultimately, we've all got that choice, don't we? The reality is we can't do anything about the situation, so you might as well just get on with it in any way you can. So I don't really have a lot of time for moaning, Greg. I know you don't either, so maybe you do. But anyway, let's carry on.
But that's the thing, I think precisely that's the point, and that's, what your approach and my approach is very much can we just find solutions? Can we actually just get on with this? And this is happening, right? Fine. We can't do anything about that, but we can do this, and it's our response to it that really makes a difference, So obviously, was it July we were doing the audio?
Yeah,
book?
I think we started around July,
and it just went on and on.
We got eventually released on Audible in September because I remember there's always a delay with Audible in terms of the upload and so forth. So it was about September by the time it finally got out there.
Yeah. What's the response been like to it?
The response has been really good, really positive overall. It's sitting on Amazon with about 30 reviews now, and the majority of them are 5-star, which is great. And only 29 of them were Greg Friel, so that's a real positive.
Not bad. That's really not bad at all. I managed to kind of do a couple of pseudonyms in there just to mix it up a bit so it wasn't blindingly obvious. But no,
seriously, it has been going down really well. The comments have been really nice. It's led to more opportunities. And I've had a lot of fun with it as well. Just the marketing process. I don't know if you saw earlier in the week, I put a picture up of Boris Johnson.
Yes.
Standing like this.
Yes, I saw that.
He happened to have my book in his hand. I don't know how he got a hold of it, but it's there.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, he's going to have to learn from someone. And why not learn from the best?
Oh, that's it. That's it.
Exactly.
So, no, I know a lot of people, and especially I imagine a lot of coaches listen to this, and you've got the kind of idea of putting a book out there, but you're nervous about it. Perhaps you don't see yourself as an author, or you're worried about what people think. But it really has been superb for me and my business, and I think it would be for the coaches as well, because it's kind of a way of getting all your ideas on paper and then handing that to someone, giving them a feeling of what it's like to work with you,
Giving them a book.
helping people.
Giving them a book with words in it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I think the thing is when people actually do that, there's that authenticity to it, and there's the, this is who I am. This is my statement of who I am and what it is that I do. And then people are like, oh, right, okay, you do this for real, and I think, it's great whenever, coaches and people in that area do actually get around to doing it, because I think it does let people know that it's like your manifesto. This is who I am and what I do.
As long as the book's like with the intention of helping people, actually quality information and not just a sales pitch, if you will. But as long as you do it like that, then it's a great thing. And
but I think that's,
cool.
I think certainly that's the thing that I thought was great with your book. That it's, yes, you're sharing stories and experiences of your journey. I use journey along the way. Let's kind of play like podcast bingo. It's like how many phrases are we going to say? We'll probably say global pandemic at some point. The new normal at some point.
I'll try and get that one in. I'll try and get that one just in a place where it's not needed. That's what
exactly. Yes, exactly. Like your new normal haircut.
Yeah.
You never know. We'll make that work. So I think, just being able to do that kind of, I have no idea what I was saying. Do you have any idea what I was saying? I have no idea.
You were saying it's good to kind of put your ideas into paper and have a physical thing. And that's the point I was going to touch on. You'll feel this as well, Greg. We're like constantly kind of pushing the invisible, aren't we? With what we're doing.
I swear to God, Kyle, I swear to God, I have had to stop myself from doing a video about this. Pushing the invisible. I just love this phrase. And I'm like, and I remember you actually, it's something that you said in your book, like, or maybe you're selling the invisible in that particular way. But explain what you mean by that.
Yeah, so as coaches, as service providers, we don't have a physical product, but a book can give you that, and that's quite a nice thing to have in your repertoire and gets you out of the invisible.
Indeed.
Going forward. So it's just nice. It's just a nice thing to have, which you can physically give to people as well. Yeah.
So you did the audiobook, put the book out, and then you've kind of shifted as well. You've got more of this. You've got this private group that you're doing coaching in, as well as you've been doing the one-to-ones and the team stuff. Tell us a little bit about how that's been going.
Sure. So I decided to create a membership group where every month we meet up just a couple of times a month and we cover a different topic within public speaking skills and a range of different topics. So in like January we did owning the virtual stage, in February it was sharing your story. This month we've just done finding the funny. So a lot of different topics which can help equip people when they're going into their presentations. But the kind of motivation behind that was I was watching people come along to my workshops, and I'm sure you have this as well, Greg. They love it on the day. They're pumped up, they're fired up, and then 6 months down the line, they're not doing any of the stuff, right? They're not doing anything.
But this is the thing. I think, and all coaches can deal with this unless you're maybe involved on a more of a day-to-day kind of basis where there's accountability. I think you have this, certainly when it comes to, if somebody comes along to like a social media workshop, they're like, oh, I went to the workshop. Tick. Yeah, you went to the workshop and then you didn't apply any of the things that we discussed.
Yeah, so people were ticking boxes, and I wanted to figure out a way to help people make it more habitual. And I thought, membership each month meeting up, that would give them the opportunity to practice, and it's really worked out well so far. I launched the group in January. It sold out by February 20th, sort of.
And I've started
the group in the morning as a result. So been really popular so far and positive, an inspiring place for people to grow and develop their speaking and have a bit of fun at the same time.
Sorry, how many people are in the group?
So I capped the groups to 25 people
Yep.
to make sure people have got optimum opportunity to present and so forth and get feedback. So that group's got 25. The morning group is just building up as we speak right now. Already got about.
And how long does each session last?
Just an hour.
Right.
Just an hour. It's quick, it's snappy. So we meet, every second and third Thursday. 1 hour on the second Thursday, 1 hour on the third Thursday, and that's it.
Yeah.
You can network in between, but those are the key times.
So do you find that you've kind of got this sort of cohorts of people where everybody's kind of like, oh, we're all part of the same group, and then everybody's actually helping each other as well? So, there's that combined effort?
Precisely. Yeah. Everybody's helping each other, and we have so we call one of the sessions Showtime Thursday, right? Where people get to present, if you will. You would love it, Greg. There's a lot of drama around it.
You think I'm cheesy?
Anyway, what's really cool is everyone in the room gives their feedback on a certain speaker, and so you can be honest with people and you can help them grow in that perspective. Tell them what you like, tell them what you think they could do a little bit better. But that really builds a lot of great bonds for people, I find. And some of the members have went on to do business with each other, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I always think that these kind of groups are always very, very useful for that. They're great networking places, but also I think that you really get to know people's business and what actually makes them tick. And you're like, all right, I really understand more of what you actually do in your business from being involved like that. Yeah,
it's almost like having I want to say distraction, but it's not the right word, but having the premise of public speaking or presentation skills being the focus opens the door for more authentic networking. You know what I mean? Because when you go to a networking event, just a solid networking event, everybody's, what are they trying to do? They're trying to sell, right? But when you go to, say, a group like this or another group, the expectation is we're all here to improve our speaking. And that comes second. But as a result of it being second, you build more natural relationships, and then more business happens.
And I think as well, there's a certain vulnerability. The fact that you're turning up at one of these groups, you're actually saying, you know what, actually, I need to improve in this area, and we're all saying that. And so I think whenever there's that expectation of there's a certain amount of vulnerability, you're like, okay, this person's actually open to getting feedback and that side of things as well.
Absolutely, and we've felt that so far, and it's just been amazing how close the group has got within we're on April, 3 months and a half. It really is incredible.
So one of the things I noticed that you've been doing over the lockdown period is you've, as a lot of people have, but I've noticed with you because I'm always stalking your content and leaving offensive comments.
Restraining order. That's why we're online right
now. I noticed that you were doing a presentation skills talk in China.
Yes. That came from a podcast, really.
Right.
And just speaking on a podcast, someone was watching that. They said, "Hey, you want to do a bit of speaking in China?" So I said, "Yes, absolutely."
How's your Mandarin?
Terrible.
Right, okay.
But thankfully, they speak a lot better English than my
Brilliant.
Mandarin. So they're in English, all of the webinars. And it's just great to sort of reach more people. And if we go back to the start, what we said about not, looking to pivot or find the new normal. I told you I'd get it in there.
Yep, well done. Yes, good.
If I hadn't, been open to doing webinars and so forth, that opportunity wouldn't have come. And I can now reach people in China because of this. So there's a lot of positives to this situation. It's not
Absolutely.
all doom and gloom.
And I think, certainly the thing that I've really noticed, and I would say more this year as opposed to last year, is even the usual networking groups that we would go to before COVID, the global pandemic. Even those local ones have now broadened out, and it's like, oh, there's people here from Canada, there's people here from Germany, there's people here from America. Because at the end of the day, why wouldn't there be? So many businesses can work remotely, and why can't we have clients all over the place?
Yeah, absolutely. Why can't the world be open to us? Why has it got to be, our clients? Why have they got to be in Clydebank? Why can't they at least be in Edinburgh?
Why? Exactly. I'm sure they wonder that themselves, Kyle. No offense to people in Clydebank. But I think the thing is about all of this is that no matter the geographical distance and with everything that is going on, the fact that we are able to stay connected is like really, really the important. I mean, imagine if this had actually happened, 10, 12 years ago. And we didn't have just before smartphones and all that kind of thing. We didn't have all this stuff to be able to do this, and we didn't have Zoom and all. I think it would have been a completely different situation, obviously. Yeah, but I think the technology side of things has been incredible, and that we've been able to embrace. I mean, certainly for me, what's happened is it's just accelerated an awful lot of things that I was planning on doing anyway. But it was like, well, I guess I'm doing that a year sooner than I was planning on doing.
Yes, yes. And it's really interesting from your perspective, because you're in an industry which got absolutely pummeled, the music industry, and you've still found a way to kind of wade through that. And
well,
still get yourself
that's
there.
the thing. I mean, for me, it's been music and marketing for a good few years, and if I hadn't made that pivot a few years ago, then I wouldn't have been able to. I mean, if I was still doing exactly what I did, 6 years ago, then I would have been in serious trouble. I would have been like, how am I going to make a living? But everything changed, and I'm glad it did. And for me, things have just been, I'm sorry, but I've actually enjoyed the lockdown experience. There's been a lot that I've been able to stop doing stuff I didn't want to do anymore, and I've not traveled crazy amounts the way that I was traveling before. And I know that going forward, I'm not going to go back to, the way it was. I'm going to find a new normal. That's going to work for me. Anything else we haven't used from the bingo one? I can't think.
No, it's just great to hear you're pivoting all over the place. You're pivoting left, right. What direction you're going to go next, Greg? We can't wait.
But I think this is the thing, is just being able to do that and just thinking, right, okay, this is working for me. And I know there's an awful lot of people who are just like, oh, right, okay, I can do that. Yes, you can. And I think for me, I'm just like, I'm actually just incredibly excited about the future, and incredibly positive, and I'm looking forward to going back to doing a lot of this stuff that we didn't do before. That we haven't done in a while, that we did do before. But I think it's just kind of getting a balance right that kind of works. And I think that's probably going to be the same with business networking and all that side of things as well.
Yeah.
I certainly will never, ever go to a business breakfast meeting unless it's on Zoom. It was like, let's get up at 6:30 or 7:00 to go to a business meeting somewhere on the other side of town and have stale coffee with horrible buns. And it was just kind of like, no, I'll never, ever do that again. I will never do that again.
I was talking to someone about this, and they were saying, oh, I cannot wait to get back into in-person meetings, having my one-to-ones in a coffee shop. And I was like, okay, but when you have to travel an hour in your car to get to the coffee shop, and then buy coffee for someone you might not like, and then travel an hour back, then you're going to miss Zoom.
Exactly. At least this way the coffee's good. I'm just like, I've got my Nespresso machine just pumping that stuff out. I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
I've got about 8 cups in me today. I'm like rattling, but
efficiency.
Exactly. It's working. So where are things going for you now? Because I mean, obviously, I think this is the thing that I've found an awful lot of businesses. We have a general plan about where we're going to go over the next few years, and you would have that normally anyway. But with all of this happening, we're having to readjust and kind of go, right, what's going to happen now? And we can't plan that far ahead because we just don't know. So how does that work for you? I mean, are you thinking, okay, a couple of months from now, I'm going to start doing some more in-person stuff, and I'll take bookings for that stuff then? Because what you don't want to have is your diary full of events that say something happens again, and we go back into lockdown, and all of that.
It's a great question, and I've had a situation like that. I was meant to be doing a bit of speaking in London in January, and as you know, everything in January did not go to plan.
Yeah.
So that got pushed to March. March was still not ideal. Now it's in May. So I am quite hesitant, to be honest, about taking in-person bookings, because they just cause a bit of a headache right now about how to deliver the service, because there's no guarantee. But I can guarantee this on Zoom. So I think even, Greg, when things go back to complete normal, when perhaps we don't talk about coronavirus every 20, 30 seconds, I think I'll still be online. I think I'll still probably do over 50% of my business online.
Absolutely. And I think
love the in-person stuff. Public speaking is what I'm all about. But I just, there's too many positives to doing it like this.
I think the thing is as well, is that what you can always do whenever you are taking, if you do, you're taking those bookings, then there's a plan B. You always say, if anything happens, coronavirus or whatever it happens to be, here's the Zoom option, and this is what we'll do instead. And then it's kind of like, so that you've already covered that, so that you're bypassing that it's going to get cancelled thing.
Yes.
And then it's kind of like, so that this is what we'll do if that can't happen.
Yes. Always have the backups in place. 100%. 100%.
But
so,
I think that's the thing, is always, being, reactive to events, but having a certain idea of, like, a general idea of where you want to go and how you want to move forward. But it's always kind of tricky, because you're like, well, what's going to happen next? Yes, it is very challenging. One thing I would like to do with my business and speaking going forward is do a bit more keynote speaking. At big conferences, big events. Once again, that's very dependent on how the next 12 months goes and so forth. But that is a direction I see myself going. Perhaps doing a wee bit less of the training. I love helping people, but maybe a bit more of the speaking for myself as well. So yeah, that's the sort of direction I see myself going in. No, absolutely. I mean, and I would totally expect to see you doing that. It was very much on the cards anyway. I mean, I was like, okay, and I expect to see Kyle doing this and doing that, and that was my feeling whenever I saw that you were doing the thing in the Far East, and whatever. I was like, nice. That's kind of where I was expecting you to go next. You're going to start doing some of those, the international conferences and international speaking and training and that sort of things. So, where are you at in terms of book number 2? Is this on the cards? Perhaps a novel about a young man.
Maybe I'll do a whole novel on your personality, Greg. I think there's a lot of scope there.
Obviously.
No, I will do another one next year. Right. Next year. I'm sort of pondering what that's going to be about. The 5 pillars of effective public speaking was very much about the skills. Yeah, put the plug in. Get the. Yeah, there we go. Just in case they missed it there, you got it there as well. On the video, of course. If you're listening, just imagine that my book cover was everywhere on the screen.
It was everywhere, absolutely, yes.
But that was a book very much about the skills of presentation skills. I'd like to do one on the mind, Greg. Where you should be up here.
A journey into the mind of Murtagh.
And that's the intro right there, what you
Absolutely.
Just heard. Yeah. So, I think there's a lot of scope.
If you don't call the book A Journey into the Mind, I swear to God, I'm going to be like gutted that I didn't have the option to do that voiceover. I think it has to happen.
I would give you the option. You'd get the job. You've just pitched it there, Greg. You'd get it. Don't worry about it.
Absolutely. But no, I mean, I totally get where you're coming from, because I think there's so much psychology with all this. Learning the skills is one thing, and that's the technique. And then, as you go forward as a public speaker or a performer, it's you have all those skills happen behind the scene. You don't want people seeing that, and you get to that level where you're that practiced with what it is that you're doing, that no one sees the wheels moving, and you're just doing your thing. And then, like you say, going into the mindset of things, there's this psychology of, persuasion and how you're going to go about certain things, and but even just the psychology of approaching speaking as a performance, and how you deliver that, and and how you want to be conveyed, and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think there's an awful lot of mileage in that idea.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And also getting out of your own way in terms of things like imposter syndrome or being worried about what people think, or just that, visceral fear that a lot of people have. So yeah, I think that's the avenue I would go down next with regards to the book. Don't have a title net, but maybe a journey into the mind is the front runner right now.
Absolutely. Have to do it with the closed mic effect. Yeah. So, I know the last time you were on, we did ask you for a couple of tips for people. So, but making it more relevant to the current circumstances, what would be your top 2 or 3 tips for people who are maybe a bit nervous about doing the public speaking thing on Zoom or whatever, and having to do their pitches, 30-second pitch, minute pitch, whatever. A couple of top tips.
Yeah, sure. I mean, number one thing is don't get caught up in the other pandemic going on, which is looking at the screen instead of the camera. So make sure you find your lens and make friends with that. Some people like to put a little prop. Some people like to just stare out like Greg, and that terrifies the camera into submission. Yes. So you've got a few different options there with that. In terms of making your webinar engaging or presentation engaging, I think we've got to condense things down, right? Because there's no point doing things the same way you did it. If it was a 2-hour webinar, ask yourself, how can I make that a 1-hour webinar? Because the attention span is much shorter on here because of the amount of distractions in people's environments.
Yep.
And then in terms of a speaking perspective, when you're actually in the webinar, make sure you make it engaging by keeping this window or box active. Keep it as active as possible through having, sharp slides, which come in and then they're gone. Or, using lots of gestures, standing up even, being dynamic with your body language. Just something to
dancing.
Keep this window active.
Dancing.
Did you say dancing?
Yes, I said dancing. It's always an option.
It is.
I mean, I think we're yet to see you doing that, Kyle. I think that needs to be added. It's one thing that's perhaps been missing from...
I'll share something, Greg, which I've never shared with anyone in the business community before. Back when I used to be at university, I was known for having 80 different dance moves. So,
80 different dance moves?
80.
Well, I mean, yes. That's book number 3. Right, the many dance moves of Kyle Murtagh.
With on-page illustration.
Making moves with Kyle Murtagh. Making moves with Murtagh. There you go. That's going to be a title right there.
There you go. That's Kyle, an exclusive on the Friel podcast.
Exactly. Thank you so much for joining me today, Kyle. It's great to catch up with you as ever. And all the best going forward. Continue being the awesome dude that you are and helping so many people with what it is that you do.
Thank you for having me on, Greg. Really do appreciate it. And likewise, right back at you. Keep being you, my friend.
Thank you very much.
What's up?